I'm trying to hold my breath. Let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end. You set off a dream in me, getting louder now. Can you hear it echoing? Take my hand. Will you share this with me? 'Cause darling, without you, all the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. Towers of gold are still too little. These hands could hold the world, but it'll never be enough, never be enough for me. Never, 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 never for me, for me. Never enough, never enough, never enough for me, for me, for me. All the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. Towers of gold are still too little. These hands could hold the world, but it'll never be enough, never be enough for me. Never, 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 never for me, for me. Never enough, never, never, never enough, never, never, never enough for me, for me, for me. For me. I asked her to do that last night about 6 o'clock. So thank you, Corey. Our centering words this morning come from a woman named Elena Mikokova, a modern Russian writer. She writes, "My grandmother once gave me a tip. In difficult times, you move forward in small steps. Do what you have to do, but little by little. Don't think about the future or what may happen tomorrow. Wash the dishes, remove the dust, write a letter, make a soup. You see, you are advancing step by step. Take a step and stop. Rest a little. Praise yourself. Take another step, then another. You won't notice, but your steps will grow more and more. And the time will come when you can think about the future without crying." Step by step. And I realized those words were supposed to come before Corey's music, but that's okay. So as we think about
in our own lives how we have lived through times when we just have to take a step by step. Let us enter into this time of gratitude, thinking about those own steps that we have taken in our lives. This community of care is created through our work and time together, our commitment to one another. This is our covenant to walk together in loving fellowship, to share our hopes and values. As we pass these baskets, we thank you for your generous gifts, which support the work of this religious community and Unitarian Universalism in the world at large. With hearts of gratitude, we will now receive today's offering.
This congregation is a community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to its life, we affirm our lives within it. Please join us in singing hymn number 1017, Building a New Way, in your teal hymn book.
I love watching people who are at the top of their game. I love it. It's something about human potential, and when people are living up to it, it just is inspiring to me. And it doesn't matter in what capacity it is, because we're all so beautifully unique. And so I don't care if it's somebody like Simone Biles, who is at the top of her game in gymnastics, or somebody with an amazing brain winning the international chess tournament, or a singer and songwriter like Taylor Swift, who writes, produces, sings, and performs her own songs, expressing her creative talent. It's just, for me, fun to watch people who are at the top of their game. And this week, I spent the evenings watching people who I feel, in many respects, were at the top of their game. And there were times when watching some of the speeches that were shown this week on cable news, some of them made me want to cry, because people who have taken the time and put in the effort to express who they are in whatever capacity that is, it's inspiring. You know, we had an older man who is our current president sharing with the nation a beautiful sentence where he said, "When I was starting politics, I was too young to be a senator, and now I'm too old to be president. But throughout it all, I gave my all to my country." That is the arc of a life well lived, that transcends any policy that we may or may not agree with him. That is a human being who started young and gave and dedicated a passion and a commitment for the whole of his life. And so this week, I've been listening to these speeches, and we've been preparing for this celebration for our little faith community, being in this building for 10 years. And I was thinking about us. What does it mean for a little faith community to be at the top of our game? What does it mean to be the full embodied expressions of who we are meant to be on the individual levels for each of us, but also as a community of faith? And every Sunday I get to stand up here and speak with all of you and be with all of you. And what I love is that every person in this room right now and every person on Zoom has and is living your own arc of life. And there are times when we're all going to be at the top of our game, and then there are times when we feel like we might have been knocked down. And we don't have to, and it's not possible to be at the top of our game all the time. And I don't even know if it would be healthy. But what is the trajectory, and what does it mean as we're kind of closing out this circle of being in this building for 10 years and entering into this new phase of who we want to be? Remembering, like I said yesterday, that our community started many more than 10 years ago. We've probably been in this valley for about 60 years now, in this home for 10, and we matter. Our voices, our contributions matter. And as I spent about 10 minutes kicking off all of the announcements about what's happening in September, I think that was time well spent, because what I was actually talking about is these are the opportunities to be who we want to be in this valley, to be active, to express ourselves, to say, yes, we are a little congregation of about 100 people, but we have a voice, we have a passion, we have creative expression that gets to help us determine the course of where we're going, not only as a faith community, but here on the western slope of Colorado. Who do we as people, as citizens of Colorado, as citizens of Grand Junction, want to be as a community? We get to use our own voices, our feet, our wheelchairs, our action to be who we want to be, and to bring alongside people who might be looking for other people to come along with us. And so this is exciting for me. What I love is that we are a faith. We get to express who we are from a paradigm of faith. We are not only a civic organization. And so when we come from the expression of who we are from the perspective of being a faith community, we are tapping into something larger than any one of us individually, any one of our little congregations individually, but we are holding on to principles that transcend space and time. So we come together every Sunday as a community of people who say, we believe in the principle of the inherent worth and dignity of every person. How do we get to express that in the world? We believe in that principle of the interdependent web of all existence. How do we get to express that and help nurture the world around us? We believe in the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. How do we be in dialogue and express our truth and meaning while being open to hearing what our neighbors, friends, and family might be saying? How do we come together to incorporate those principles, share those principles, and then help our children begin to live into those principles too, so that they have agency and voice to express who they are wanting to become as they grow older and become the human beings that they want to use and have a creative expression with. That's what's exciting to me. And when we look at what's happening on more of a national level, I think something changed about a month ago, and I've been talking about this. And for those of you who have been around for a while, I have a tendency to kind of get esoteric, and throughout the years I talk about frequency and vibration and, the collective consciousness of humanity. And what I feel like happened was the collective consciousness of us as human beings, our vibration and our frequency is raising and it's rising. And this week, I believe some of the expressions that we heard through some of the speeches were expressions of the collective understanding of what happens when, as communities, we choose to raise our frequency and vibration to those higher elements of joy and compassion and love. David Hawkins has a map of consciousness, which I've shared with you throughout the years, where he literally did research and he measured the frequency of people who were experiencing different emotions. And I've shared this with you all, but literally anger and fear and resentment, those are literally lower vibrations when you map out the consciousness, and then you get to happiness, you get to joy, you get to love, you get to compassion. Those are literally higher frequencies. And what I feel like this country experienced, at least the people who were watching, not everybody watched, and I noticed that not every news network showed certain speeches, but it was an expression of optimism, of joy, of love, of compassion, of relationship, of community. And I'm not trying to quote the Democratic campaign because these were the words that just came to me, even though once you've experienced that higher energy, you don't go back. You don't want to go back. It's hard to go back. It takes effort then to go back down into that lower frequency and that lower vibration. And so, regardless, I think, of what happens in November, I believe something changed, something shifted. We had a week of people giving voice to what the creative expression of compassion, joy, love, optimism, and what a future could look like. And I don't think very many people want to continue to be stuck in anger and frustration and resentment. And so I've been inspired this week. I've been inspired by being reminded of the beauty of what and the impact that a good teacher can have on their students. I've been inspired by the reminder of what a good coach, a caring, compassionate coach can do to bring out the best in the people he or she is coaching. We've been reminded of what true family looks like, with the beautiful blending of step families and stepchildren, and the expression of a son crying because he's so proud of his father, and the example of the country coming together and saying, you know what, genuine expression of deep, compassionate love that brings tears is something we welcome and we embrace. And especially when that expression is coming from a young man. When for so many decades we have been teaching our young men and our boys that showing expression, crying, showing love is a part of an expression of vulnerability, is weak. What we saw this week is that compassion, love, expression is strong, and it's powerful, and it's beautiful, and it's welcome in this country. And this is why I think we're probably not going back. Because what we've seen is that the voice and the expression and the unfolding of the wings of women who have spent their lives being told that they are less than because of their gender and because of their race cannot be defined any longer by what the larger culture is telling them they should be, because they've had generations of being pushed down and held down, and they're rising and they're spreading their wings and they're saying, we aren't going back to that ever. And as Kamala said, you don't get to tell me who I am. I'm going to show you who I am. And she said that to every young woman, every little girl, every young boy, every American. You don't get to tell me who I am. I'm going to show you who I am. And so what does that mean for each one of us? Because she was speaking to all of us. What does that mean for each one of you in your own life? When have you allowed yourself to feel small or be defined by somebody else? And if you were defining yourself and deciding to show who that is, what might that look like for you? And the question then also becomes, for this faith community, this little Unitarian Universalist congregation of the Grand Valley, who do we get to show that we are? Sometimes we're known as those liberals or those heathens or those heretics. And those are labels that are coming from the other side. But what we have right here in this building is the heart expression of finding our voice, coming together, and then showing who we want to be. We get to show who we are when Corey is helping us create a float next week. We get to show who we are every Sunday morning when we come here, but then we also get to show who we are in relation to going out in the world and being a doctor in Gaza and using our voice and creating music with our youth throughout the valley. And we have teachers in this room. And we have young adults who are just starting college. How do we show who we are and help them express who they are? That's what I'm excited about. I love that we have some friends in the congregation who were here with us 10 years ago in that slideshow yesterday with paint, and they've moved away, Connie and Gary, but they're here today to close out this circle of who we've been for 10 years, but I'm really excited about who we're going to be in the next 10. And I'm excited about where that begins, even this week and today, as we go and we eat ice cream and we envelop these young, beautiful souls that are the future of Unitarian Universalism, as we are the wise elders who are walking along beside them and each other. Just a few things to think about. So let us close this morning with a little bit of music. Let This Be a House of Peace, number 1054. Once again, it's a little tricky musically, but let the words go into your heart.